Hey, you didn't hear or see anything today. Welcome to Cinema Recap. Today's target, Leon the Professional. So gear up, pack that ammo, and don't be a flatfoot cause we've got company. Spoilers ahead. Somewhere in a deli in Little Italy, some shady-looking gentlemen are discussing business. The men are discussing how some lardface is about to invade their operations, so the old coot tells Shades that he comes to town every Tuesday, and Django over here clears his schedule for that. Looky here. I guess that's the target. Someone greets him and calls him Mr. Jones. Well, Mr. Jones goes into a hotel room and lusts over some woman, while some of his boys prepare some grade A sugar. In the lobby, someone with a gun wants to have a little chat with Mr. Jones, and his guard held at gunpoint says he looks serious. Adorable last words. Mr. Jones's crew gets ready as they guard all thinkable entrances. They watch mostly the elevator and then they just shoot to kingdom come. But it was actually the cowboy guard from downstairs. One of the goons, well, let's just say they had a nice talk with creeping death. The remaining crew inside Mr. Jones's room cleans up their cute little candies and their V-Bucks. Mr. Jones sees he's doing a Houdini one by one, so he panics and sends them all to check the terrace. Of course, this is a death trap. Mr. Jones panics, and I think that's where the goons got the crummy aim. Mr. Jones goes into a narrow hallway, gets some Uzis, and then tries to call for 911. Ironic. With his back against the wall, a butterfly knife comes out, and is that the TF2 spy? No, it's some Beatles reject. Whoever the assassin's working for, he says his name is Maurizio. The Lardskin claims that this is his last day in town, and he'll never come back. Piglard over here passes the phone, then he frees him and disappears into the night. Whoever this assassin is, I guess that's his job done for the day. Well, if you're gonna have that lung cancer, gotta start 'em young, right? There's our Agent 47 climbing up the stairs. He notices the Fraulein hid the ciggy, but she says she doesn't want snitches. The girl then asks the hitman not to narc, and then he leaves. Some chumps come out of one of the apartments and argue. One of the men claims he doesn't know where the drugs went, so the douche in the Arctic Monkeys getup disturbs the gentleman in the suit. This is Stan. He then gets touchy and hugs him, and he claims one last time that he doesn't know where that missing coke is. He scolds his daughter and tells her to do her homework. The pig then smacks his daughter. Bootleg Lloyd Forger watches all of this unfold. Then after a hard day at work, takes a much-needed brooding shower. After that, a glass of milk, some ironing, gardening, and you know, all the stuff boomers do when their wives aren't throwing dinner plates at them. The next day, in the girl's apartment, I guess the face-smacking thing runs in the family. The assassin does some pull-ups while the little girl's family is a really crummy piece of work. It's a great fam. How do I sign up for the orphanage? Girl's got great taste. She makes a break for it, catches her parents making another mistake, and my god, the older sister can't even hit right. The phone rings. A scream match ensues, so the little girl goes to get it. Uh-oh. Sounds like the girl's got bad remarks. The headmistress is looking for her parents, Mr. and Mrs. Lando. She snitches on how Matilda, the little girl, had been skipping school, so she pretends to be her mom. The headmistress says that skipping school can resort to their tuition being forfeited. Weird flex, but alright. The assassin on the other door heads out, but not before hearing the totally warranted verbal abuse the kids are getting. After the movies, the assassin goes home. It looks like Matilda got the usual smack for dinner. As she encounters the assassin, he then offers her a cloth to wipe her bleeding nose. Nope. Matilda then says she's going shopping, so she offers her 2 quarts of milk. The assassin goes back home, and then eventually some shady-looking ragamuffin starts circling the complex. Looky here, it's Stan the man. He takes some vitamins and the Lando family's relaxing inside while Stan gets excited for playing some Beethoven with a shotgun. The assassin peeps from his door, and Stan barges in. He shoots the mother in the bath, then the bratty older sister, while the father cowers in fear somewhere else. Eventually, he finds him and corners the pig stain. The man of refined taste then discusses his love for Beethoven. Stan gives an order to search the place. Stan claims that Mr. Lando likes Mozart. Then some goons in the other room argue about finding musical records. The pig tries to reach for his gun behind him, then his son hides underneath the bed. The goon stabs the bed, and then Mr. Lando lets loose the shells. Panic ensues, bullets flying around, as that kid makes a break for it. After the havoc, Mr. Lando also tries to make a break for it, but Stan shoots him with the revolver. Lando limps away. Stan still shoots him repeatedly until that gun goes dry. As a price to pay for ruined Armani, the goon known as Malky then calms Stan down. And then of course, some old hag just has to put their nose into someone else's business. Nice. Anyways, Matilda gets back to the complex, walks by her apartment, sees the bloodbath, and calmly goes to the assassin's apartment, quietly begging to open the door. She repeats this until he lets her in. Malky finds out there's 3 kids in total, so some of the goons try to find her. One of them closes in on the assassin's front door since he might be sus. And just like that, the goon pisses off, probably into GoBots or something more inferior. Back at the other room, they actually did find the missing coke. The cops can be heard from outside, so Stan and the gang buzz off. Matilda and the assassin then get to know each other. Same. So Matilda spills the beans, and it looks like she wasn't kidding when she said her real mother was dead. Jesus, yeah, no, that one's pretty grim. Matilda even goes as far to say that she was a better mother than the skank who died at the bath. They have a little charade about the assassin's supposed pet pig. Well, it's a puppet. At least the assassin got her to smile a little. Leon fetches some milk. Matilda gets nosy and opens the box of wonders. Box of wonders indeed. It houses some custom modded M9s. Leon tells her not to touch it. Then Matilda asks what his job is. Clever. Well, she's smart. Catches on quick. She thinks it's pretty cool. Leon's only rules are no women and no kids. So Matilda gets curious on the price, which is $5,000 a head. She offers to be Leon's maid. In exchange, she wants to learn the ways of the assassin. Well, he declines and sends her off to bed. She's grateful and wishes him a good night. Later on, Leon kinda goes into a fit and actually tries to plug her head with a 9mm, but if he did that, then the movie and the recap would end by now, so he knows better. The next day, he gives her breakfast and coldly asks her to leave afterwards. Well, she catches on yet again and finds out that he can't read, so she offers some lessons in exchange for some hitman lessons. He gives her a revolver and some bullets as a farewell gift, and he wants no part of it, as he works alone. Well, she really pushes him on how to teach her to be a hitman, but he thinks she's just a little girl. Matilda lets loose her gaudy trigger finger and shoots a few windows. So they end up in another hotel. Matilda has his back as she fills out those forms, and then Leon makes sure that the room's secure. He's curious on how old she is, and she claims that she's 18. Yeah, right. After all that, our man needed a drink, so he meets up with his good buddy Tony. In actuality, he's here to pick up a special order, specifically an item in a suitcase that is for beginners. He takes his pupil to a very high rooftop for a good vantage point. Getting right to it, they pick their first practice dummy, some schmuck jogger in the park. She takes aim while Leon advises her to take it easy, breathe, and then fire. And girl's got moxie and great aim. He didn't even have to teach her about wind speeds or the Coriolis effect, so great job, Macmillan. They pack up before another JFK scene unfolds. Now back at their place, he teaches her about guns, and then she does a myriad of housework. Soon she observes that Leon really loves his plan. He thinks it's a reflection of himself. That's why he cares about it so much. And then they have a little fun again. So our boy heads back to Tony's deli to pick up some jobs again, but he says that he's missed a lot of jobs. Leon inquires Tony about his money, since he might use it someday. Tony gives him some money and he's out to get the next target's file. Leon suddenly notices Matilda mingling with some dirty worm smoking. So he storms out, Matilda all dumbfounded and doesn't know what his deal is. Yeah, thanks, Leon, cause, Susan's gonna get upset. And he also tells her to quit smoking like an old guy on a racetrack. Leon gets back. Then they go home and, we should have a musical guest for this scene. May I suggest Oingo Boingo to play Little Girls? She then grumbles up some more crud about it and Leon storms off. Good timing too, cause Matilda's in some hormonal streak. Tells the desk clerk that Leon's not her father but her lover. Matilda later sneaks into her old apartment, looking at the ruins of her home, riddled with bullet holes and dried blood splatter. She then finds a hidden compartment and takes the money in it. But soon, it's Stan with some investigators. He's being questioned on what happened, and he straight up lies, saying that he got threatened with a gun, so, they shot Mr. Lando. He gets pissed off, so he storms out, and even takes some kid's ball just for the heck of it. Matilda hails a cab and angrily asks the driver to follow Stan's car. I guess she's planning to rip out Stan's optics. Then Leon comes home. Looks like he bought her a present. Well, she's not in the mood right now. And then the desk clerk talks to him. Well, looks like he and his so-called lover got kicked out of the hotel. Well, after that little Epstein incident, Leon takes a shower, where we find him washing a pretty bad wound. After the shower, I guess that must be Stan's real name, but Leon declines anyway. He says it's too extreme, so she asks to rent his gear. He still refuses, and says revenge isn't good. Then she gets her gambling freak on to play Russian roulette. If she wins, she gets love. If she loses, well, it's an unwanted lobotomy. She shoots, but Leon flings the gun away from her head. It's bring your daughter to work day, and he tries to convince Tony that since he's injured, he'd need some help. Tony's not looking convinced, but, well, now he's convinced. They get to a job, and Leon gives a tip on where to find the door's lock. He rings, and then, Wojcicki? Jesus, I'd be afraid. The guy inside opens the door, but once he does, Leon cuts the door chain and gun pointing. He tries to look for something while taking a hostage, and then Matilda finds some dope. Leon corners the hostage, and then Matilda assembles her silenced M1911. As what they all say. Of course, Leon asks her to fire, but it's just a paintball. She shoots another time, and then he gives a lesson on vital shots. Huh, it was all target practice in a live setting. Nice. Then he straight up kills the guy and Matilda puts her gun away. Leon gives some tidbits on cleaning her gun and then she burns the dope. Another peaceful day has passed. So the two celebrate with some wine in a restaurant, and then Matilda forces herself onto him. Christ, who wrote that scene? Obviously, Matilda's drunk and Leon's uncomfortable. And despite this, she drinks some more and laughs like Joaquin Phoenix. Now, just like they rehearsed, they do a few more jobs using the same routine. Then this fishy job comes in and Matilda points out that there's no doorbell. Leon hears a gun cocking, so he pulls her away from the door while that's turned into Swiss cheese. Leon then shows him the ring trick. So much for not in the face. Later on, Leon approaches Tony and tells him if anything happens to him, Tony's got to give the money to Matilda. Going back to the mercenaries' rat hole, Leon says he'll go on a big job alone. So Matilda's left in the apartment, and while he's gone, she does her usual chores and mopes around the house. Later on, we see her buying some fruit, but that's just a ploy to tail Stan. She poses as food delivery, and then tails him to the potties, which Stan corners her. She admits that she's going after him alone for this, so Stan threatens to kill her. One of Stan's hobos comes in to report that Malky's dead. He tells us that someone shot Malky and the Chinaman in cold blood. Stan asks the hobo to take Matilda up to the office. After the murder party, Leon gets back and reads a letter from Matilda. The first lines are, "Leon, my love," which is gross. But more importantly, she's basically gonna hunt Stan on her own. At Stan's office, the hobo checks Matilda's gear out to be filled with lots of pistols. Leon suddenly shoots the two guards and then reunites with Matilda. After the commute, Leon recalls his former lover being killed by his own father, and then he assassinated him. He fled the country to work for Tony here in America. After hearing that sob story, Matilda falls asleep next to Leon in bed. But not in that way. Thank God nothing happens here. Oh boy, here comes Stan and the goons, crashing in on some kid's birthday party. Stan confronts Tony, even recalling that they've worked together before. But now, someone snitched. Then he tells that a Jinx girl that he caught caused the same hitman to come and kill his two boys. Wake up, my man. It seems like you had a good sleep, but guests are arriving. Matilda buys some milk and Stan tails on. Matilda gets captured and Leon's about to get swatted. One of the Rainbow Six interrogates her, so she gives out a fake knocking code. They move in, do the knock code, and silently enter Leon's room. For Leon's first trick, he's gonna make these guys disappear. Ta-da! Just like Smash, everyone's here. Leon gets the upper hand by wasting a few guys here and there, but he also gets a bit of damage as well. Soon, Leon takes a hostage and asks for Matilda to be let go. Leon takes advantage of this and asks Matilda to take an axe. She cuts the water supply with the axe, and then Leon makes blank shots, making the SWATs think that he shot the hostage, so they go gung-ho on their own guy. He gears up, tells her to stay away from the windows. Snipers galore. Outside, the SWATs shut the water off. Then Leon barricades the room. The SWATs are coming in with riot shields, but he checks himself out by digging a hole through the wall. He slips Matilda in as she's resisting because, this might be Leon's final magic show. The SWATs arm a mortar. Holy crap. And the two say their last goodbyes. The SWAT just blow the room up, and then they storm in. They find one of their guys alive and take him to the medic. It's Leon in disguise, and he goes through a boatload of SWATs. Matilda runs out from the back of the building. Stan sees Leon sneaking around, so on the way out, Leon gets a personal ambush from Stan. The old ring trick got Stan. What a grand last show, Leon. Tony advises Matilda to hold the money for her until she's older, and then she claims that she wants a cleaning job, but of course, Tony scolds her. With Matilda all alone, she journeys to the school she originally went to. She lies at first, but man, does she tell the graphic and gruesome truth afterwards. Eventually, she plants Leon's plan, giving him his final wish. And that wraps it up for Leon the Professional. What'd you guys think about this heart-wrenching movie? Go ahead and let us know with that hashtag Cinema Recap. Distributed by Buena Vista International, starring Jean Reno, Natalie Portman debut, and Gary Oldman. Until the next Merc movie, see you around.